I'm Famke Krumbmüller, and I lead the EY Geostrategic Business Group in Europe. So over the past couple of years, the awareness that political risk has a direct impact on the business environment has risen together with the level of political risk itself. I mean, we've really seen the business and investment consequences of many political risk events unfold. Think just of the consequences of, for example, Brexit and of the election of Donald Trump in the US, to just cite the most obvious examples that are out there. So political risk is absolutely critical, and we actually continue to expect it to rise. The pandemic has accelerated many pre-existing trends that we see unfold further over the next couple of months and years. Probably the most important here is that we're moving towards increasing regionalization, with each of the three regional global powers, US, China, and Europe, seeking more independence and hence, to a certain extent, engage in even more competition between each other. Not necessarily on all issues. We can hope that there will be some cooperation on climate change, for example, but probably on quite a few. And so a lot of our client conversations and surveys actually really show that global business executives and international investors are increasingly aware of the political risks and their impact on the business environment. We, for example, have the EY Geostrategy and Practice Survey, which asks global business executives how they manage political risks, and they actually confirm that political risk is on the top of their agenda. More than 90% said that their company was impacted by unexpected political risk over the past 12 months. And over half expect more political risk impact on their companies over the next year. The other interesting data point that I have comes from our European Attractiveness Survey, which also really showed that political risk factors such as political instability, the rise of more protectionist feelings, for example, are cited amongst the key risks to European attractiveness over the next couple of years. And so again, the tendency here, I think, is extremely clear. Businesses are increasingly worried about political risk and hence increasingly focused on what it means for them and what it means for their business environment that they operate in. And this also means that the level of political risk can make a place more or less attractive to invest in, of course. And so for Europe, this means that it has an opportunity, maybe even a competitive advantage if it plays it right, I would say. Investors on average really perceive it as an attractive environment to invest in, with the fundamentals which are important. Think of skilled labor, a robust infrastructure, a large internal market, for example, and of course relative political stability. And this is what makes Europe attractive and competitive. But then at the same time, international investors also clearly say that they worry about increasing geopolitical, regulatory, and trade tensions. And this is what I mentioned before, increasing political risk and increasing awareness of it. And I think, in the context of rising US-China tensions, Europe is increasingly challenged to define and shape its role. And this is why it is now moving towards something that it calls more strategic autonomy. And while, of course, I would say reducing dependence on the rest of the world in this competitive environment can be important, the risk is, of course, also a form of protectionism. And so in our survey, the rise of protectionist feelings actually also comes out as the #1 risk to Europe's attractiveness going forward. It's followed by concerns about the uncertainty with regards to trade policy, the evolution of the European legislative framework on digital services, and environmental legislation. So again, I think it's pretty clear what Europe's challenges will be going forward. It's about how to successfully continue to lead on key issues such as the climate transition, how to pursue its digital transformation, while at the same time maintaining its competitiveness. So essentially, not to have its transformation and the regulation that comes with it excessively weigh on its companies. This will be particularly important as the EU sets new standards, think of environmental regulation, but also artificial intelligence, for example, which will, of course, aim to help this transformation, but at the same time, it will need to take into account the potential impact it can have on the competitiveness of companies operating in Europe. And essentially, the right balance here will be really crucial for Europe's competitiveness going forward.